All right, let's get to our key takeaways from the Broncos' loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. Broncos got the ball first, Ben. You're up.
Well, we're doing key takeaways, so let's start with the takeaway. When the Kansas City Chiefs taking the ball away from the Denver Broncos. We'll listen to the clip here real quick, and then I'll get into it.
Drew takes a snap, looks left, steps away from a possible sack, now throws on the run, a ball that will be intercepted inside the Chiefs' 10. He tried to squeeze it into Troy Fumagalli, and that ball intercepted by Tyrann Mathieu. Ball that just can't be thrown. Fumagalli was covered, and he didn't get enough air on that ball, and so Mathieu was between Fumagalli and the football.
Got to see the underneath defender, and not just the underneath defender. How about the check down tight end on the drag route sitting right in front of you in Nick Vannett that you should have thrown the ball to? Drew Lock made a bad decision there, and if you don't see the tight end, if you don't see Vannett there, throw the ball out of bounds. I believe that play occurred on second down. Discretion is the better part of valor. If you don't have the play, throw it out of bounds and come back and get it on third down. And it's a common problem with young quarterbacks, trying to believe it in the arm too much. It happens. Drew Lock's got to grow up, and he's got the window to do that shrinks every game. As it stands right now, the Broncos are probably going to bring in some competition this offseason. So if Drew Lock wants to stave that off, if he wants to cement himself as the guy, he's got 4 games to show that the decision-making can improve. And if that can improve, if he can show that, then you go through and you look at the mechanical and you look at the other stuff. Because you're not going to be able to, in the next 4 games, you're not going to fix the mechanical. You're not. So if you are a Denver Broncos fan, you're hoping that Drew Lock's decision-making, the light bulb comes on, and he says, okay, I just got to chuck this one away and live to fight another day.
It's just so difficult because you do want him to continue to be himself to a certain extent, right? You want him to continue to feel like he can make a lot of plays. He can be a difference maker at quarterback. Certainly, I think Broncos fans, if they dig deep down inside, they really want a difference maker at that position. They don't want just a game manager, but sometimes he needs to channel his inner game manager. He needs to find a way, especially in that moment when you have a shallow cross coming right in front of you on second down. You don't need the first down in that play. You don't need a touchdown in that play. What you need to do is get a positive play or throw it away. He made a play a little later on, and this was a third down. It was a third and really long, and he scrambled up the middle for 8 yards and got them in field goal range. Now, he actually could. There was an open man on that play, but the thing is he basically the C's opened up right in front of him.
Right.
In fact, the way you look at it from the all-22,
it looked like they were baiting him to run.
I thought he was going to run for like 20 yards.
Right.
But again, he put himself in field goal range, and that was obviously a positive play.
Don't take points off the board. They were in field goal range on that one. You can't do it against Kansas City. You can't do it against anybody, but you really can't do it against Kansas City.
All right, my next play here, I want to get to something that is a bit of a unicorn, it feels like.
Oh?
Something that we have been asking for, Ben, begging for, and that is a running back screen. And they executed it.
Can you legally do that?
Beautifully.
Play fake now. Locke sets up the screen. He's got Gordon with a couple of blockers out in front, 25-30. Gordon stiff arms the defender down, and he's got a gain of 11 and a first down. Well-designed screen pass there. Daniel Sorensen, the 7-year safety out of BYU, has to scurry up and make the tackle, and that will take us to the end of the first quarter.
So credit Dave Logan, first of all. So he said well-designed screen there. And then I got to give him credit, too. He didn't go like, whoa, the screen. Because that's what I would have done if I was like, oh, my God, what is going on?
That's why he's a pro. Because you and I were sitting right there watching the game. And I was like, oh.
We both tweeted out like,
are you
screen
allowed
alert
to do that?
It was unbelievable. It's exactly why you have running backs like Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay on this roster, because they both are prolific at it, but you just really haven't done very much with it. We've seen some tight end screens, very rarely, but we've seen some wide receiver screens, very rarely, but almost never running back screens. And you only had to see what was happening on social media in that moment of all the Broncos fans as they almost rejoiced by the fact that Pat Shurmur, who, by the way, has a long history of doing such things, decided to finally do it with this team. And obviously it worked out well. Hopefully see more of it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you just kind of befuddled why they haven't done those kinds of things this year. Again, Drew Lock being the number one attempter of 20-plus yard passes in the NFL is ridiculous. How about we give the young guys some easy stuff to get in a rhythm? Let's get him some screens and let the running backs do the work and go from there. It's good to see that play.
All right, let's go to another Melvin Gordon play, and this was the 65-yard run. And yes, I'm sure people will say Phillip Lindsay would have scored on this. He might have, but he's a little banged up, so we'll give credit to Melvin Gordon, too, because he kind of got skinny through the gap.
He did. Brilliant
Block on the pull from Dalton Reisner. My goodness, this dude is one of the best in the league at pull blocking, and he sort of set this thing up. Melvin Gordon went off to the races, eventually led to a touchdown, but here was the call.
Denver's 3 of 5 on third down thus far. They really need to stay in the field here. Here's a 3rd and 3. Gordon to the left of Locke in the shotgun. He takes the handoff, running straight ahead, and Gordon's got a big hole. 30, 35-foot race. Here we go, 40, 45 midfield. In Kansas City territory, inside the 30. Pushed out of bounds inside the 20-yard line. A touchdown-saving effort by Juan Thornhill.
Melvin Gordon, 15 carries for 131, averaging 8.7. The team, 33 for 179, 5.4. What I loved about that in multiple ways, I mentioned how it was set up. You ran on 3rd and 5. Like, you were committed to your game plan. You stuck with it. One of the biggest gripes I've had this year for Pat Shurmur is he abandons play calls. He abandons game plans. And in this case, he stuck with it. Hey, first down, we're going to run it. Second down, we're going to run it. Maybe even third down, we're going to run it. When they got to, right before halftime, they ran like 4 plays for 20-some yards, I think 21 yards, 24 yards, something like that. Then they had 3 or 4 pass plays for 0 yards. Like, he stuck with the run, and it paid dividends. Sometimes, Pat Shurmur, you do have to work to the strengths of what your team does. And in this case, they are a downhill running team. The offensive line functions better that way. Drew Lock is going to function better that way. You could win these Final Four games. I'm not even kidding. You could win these Final Four games if you execute a game plan like you did against the Dolphins and the Chiefs.
Yeah, and Melvin Gordon is earning that contract. Melvin Gordon's been a better running back. I know everybody loves Phil Lindsay here locally.
Come on now.
And he's earned the contract. Hey, all kudos. I didn't like paying that much money to a running back, but he's earning the contract. He's got to cut the fumbles out. Absolutely, those crushing fumbles.
Absolutely, but is he not exactly what this team can use?
He's what they need. They've got to. My thing with Phil Lindsay, and by the way, if you take that 65-yard run off the table and out of the equation, they had the same number of carries, and Gordon tripled him up on the yardage.
Yep.
If you take the long run out of the equation. Phil's not used properly in this offense. It's not about the volume. Giving him 14 carries and running him off the B gap is not productive. Where's the outside zone, the toss for Phil Lindsay? Where is lining him up and throwing jet motion? That kind of stuff. If you can do those things with Phil Lindsay, you could add a whole new element to your game. And I don't know why Pat Shurmur chooses not to. I'm sure he has his reasons. But if it were me, I would definitely be incorporating things like that into my game plan. I think he adds an element that we didn't previously have. And I think it's the best possible scenario for that running back.